Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope everybody is having an amazing day. It is good to be alive, even in a chaotic world. It's always good to wake up 6 feet above instead of not waking up 6 feet below. Hope everybody's having a good day. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Every day when I wake up, I tried not, I determined myself not to pay attention to the news so much. And yet I still do it every day. I'll learn someday, but this is not the day apparently. Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Well, folks, hey, welcome in. Just wanted to thank you guys for popping in. It's been crazy. There's a lot of crazy energy going on. And I wanted to have a conversation about this before we did any readings, before we did anything else. I wanted to have a conversation to let you know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Even there are times where I believe it's not going to be okay, but it's going to be okay. To help ourselves get through the chaos, get through the drama, get through all the things that are happening. The one thing that you should always remember is that ultimately we are here for a short period of time. We will transition. It will happen eventually. And this will be a mere blip in our history. And I'm blessed in the fact that I have been given the opportunity to grow and develop my mediumship gifts because it allows the opportunity to have communicated with people on the other side. And since I've communicated with people on the other side, I now have a really good understanding of what's over there and what's waiting for me when I get there, and it's interesting because we turn to things such as faith. I really do have a much better feeling than I did about what's coming in front of me and those kind of things. It comes in front of all of us. And that's because, again, I've spoken to the spirits on the other side, and because they visit with me and they visited with me in reference to the people they come in for, and also the people that they want to embrace, or they want to help throughout their journey, the person's journey, that kind of thing. And so it gives me peace knowing that this is, again, just a mere bump. This is just it's a minor bump in the road. Fascinating enough is that at one time the religion of Christianity, until like 140 AD, Christianity believed in reincarnation. It was a tenet of their belief. And I know this is going to blow some heads off some Christians right now. Like, oh my God, this blasphemy. It's not. Do the research. Do your history. It's interesting. I was blessed that I went to Texas A&M, which is a very conservative, very religious-based university in many ways. In this deep in the heart of Texas. I mean, it's like College Station, right in the center of Texas. But I took a history of religion class, which then made me want to learn more about the history of religion, not just from one textbook, from actually information I learned. And so I went down that path to understand, how did we get here? How did religion come to be? How did we fall in line with some of these things? The one thing that I found, which was confirmed recently by somebody else whom I respect very much, was, again, a reminder that in 140 AD, the church felt they did not have the ultimate power over us, because what stick could they bring to smack us upside the head, to beat us, to get us into line, to make us fall in line? And remember, at this time, church and state were one. They were not two. Okay, our country is unique. Remember, we are only 200 and almost 250 years, 245, whatever it is now, 46. We are a unique experiment in the history of Western civilization, in the history of civilizations most of the time, because what happened before us was that church and state were one. And so the church aligned with the state aligned with the church, and together they fought. The church said, the state said, hey, we're moving in this direction. And the church fell in line and found the doctrine to support it, or created it. Because remember, up until the 14th century, most people couldn't read, write, or anything. They had to listen to the preachers, listen to the businessman, listen to the priests. And then they told them what everything was and how things were meant and so forth. They didn't have the ability to learn and to understand on their own. Down the road, when the printing press was finally down the road, when the monks were scribing, and wealthy people had more money, they could then buy the books, and then eventually the printing press comes along, and then we have a much more disseminated Bible and a much more disseminated reality in books. And nowadays, of course, it's like total freedom because of the social media platforms and because of the internet. We are reaching far beyond our grasp ever. So where I'm going with this is that we were initially told that we were going to be reincarnated. And in 140 AD, then the religious leaders realized, damn, we have a problem here, because now we can't hit them over the head with the stick, because they'll just say, hey, I can misbehave in this lifetime, and in the next lifetime, I'm going to be fine. And I'll be good then. I'll be good then. And so the religious leaders are like, oh no, this is not working to our benefit. So we have to get rid of that the whole idea of reincarnation. And so they did. They moved away from reincarnation because it did not fit their needs, and it did not fit the government needs, because again, the government was the state. So with that said, I think it's fascinating to me, again, the indoctrination, or whatever you want to call it, that we have over time learned. And we learned. I mean, think about it. We went through a time where we were taught that the world, the universe revolved around the earth. And if you remember, Galileo Galilei spent the last part of his life under house arrest, because he was very wealthy and because he was very respected. He was not killed, but he was spent his rest of his life under house arrest, and now he lays in a church in Florence. But because he said, based on scientific principle, that the universe, the world, does not, the universe, whatever you want to call it, everything does not revolve around the earth. When he made the hypothesis, and it was proved to be true, was that everything surrounded the globe actually circumnavigated the sun, and therefore we have these planets that have the sun at the heart of the universe. He was put under house arrest, because that did not go with Christian doctrine. That did not go with Catholic teachings. And of course, again, the state put him. The church didn't put him under that restriction. The state put him under restriction, because the state, again, was the church, and the church was the state. So folks, as I learned about history, as I learned about the history of religion, and you understand the fact of how unique we are, it's fascinating to me how now we have evolved to the point where we, again, have our own freedom to be able to read, to be able to analyze, to be able to pick what we believe and what we don't believe. We are still indoctrinated from birth, and from TV, from everything that hits us. Everything that hits us is about Christianity. And you hear, I am not picking a fight with politics right now. This is not the intent of what this is. But I hear over and over again, oh my God, we are whatever. We're a Judeo-Christian nation. No, we are a nation built on Freemasons and on people who wanted to separate the two states, the religious state and the governing state. That's why we were created. That's why the people escaped to the states, to the colonies before it was the states, because again, they wanted freedom from religion. They did not want the government to be a religious entity. They wanted the separation, and that was a big thing. And there's also the law about the rules about taxation and the complaints about taxation. I'm telling you, it's deeper than that. But we have been, even in this country, we have been told, oh, let's ignore that part of it and let's get back to just taxation, because that doesn't help our religious doctrine that much. And the religious folks, I'm telling you, they're. I'm not saying religion is bad. Don't get me wrong, but organized religion can be dangerous. And so when I am blessed to know the history of religion, and then also to understand this, that, and the other, remember again that initially reincarnation was believed and taught. And if you look in many religions, numerous religions, reincarnation is a key to that religious faith. It's not just Christianity. So going back to where I started, for those who came in, what I'm talking about is that I'm blessed in the fact that I see a lot of craziness going on right now, and I see this tumultuous world we live in, and I see stupidity on the TV on a daily basis, if not more often, like hourly on the social media. But I can assure you that I have been blessed to connect with and tap into those people, those entities, those energies on the other side, especially our loved ones who've crossed over. And I've had the chance to talk with them and know what's over there. And when we are blessed enough to do that, it's amazing what's over there. It is nothing like what is over here. Nothing like what is over here. And so know that this is short term. This is a very small blip. When you are done and you shake off this coil, there will be something more. There is something more. And it could tie into what the religious folks once believed. until they all decided it was not helpful to them. And therefore, let's go ahead and move away from this. But I'm telling you, when you understand how complex and how we only tap so little of our brain even to understand and get beyond this and to understand what we can do and what we are capable of, you will be immensely surprised. Okay. And so I will give you an example. When I had a chance to call in, I'm going to call them my spirit team. Okay. Everybody, and again, you don't have to believe me. I'm okay with that. You don't even have to try to understand if you don't want to. It's okay. But from my experience, I have what's called a spirit guide. I have spirit guides. I have a spirit team. I call them a spirit team because they're all my spirit guides. We all have them. And I'm told this from the spirit guides who are on the other side. Some of them are family members who crossed over. Some of them are other entities and energies and so forth. Some of them, that's her whole function, is to do this. And I have what's called a gatekeeper. My gatekeeper is the one spirit that is with me from birth to death. Again, from birth to death. They control the access that I have to my spirit guides, and that my spirit guides to me, more so to my spirit guides to me, because my gatekeeper is they're like my symbiotic energy. Okay. In that sense, and in essence, is they understand what I want. They understand what I need. And when I talk to them and say, hey, look, I'll give you an example. My gatekeeper knows that. And when I go to bed at night, my room is off limits to spirits unless I ask my gatekeeper or my spirit guides to go out and help me get some spirit that can help me with something, or if I need to do something or I want to connect to whatever. My gatekeeper will ensure that no spirits come into my room while I am sleeping. My gatekeepers, again, allow the access. They control the access. Good morning, Miss Angie. Good morning, Liliana. Good morning, Miss Susan and Melissa. So they control the access to me, and I love that. And so you have, whether you want to embrace them, believe in them, or whatever, it doesn't matter. You have a gatekeeper who controls access. If you don't give them direction, then they try to do what is best for you, and they limit and they help you to deal with what you can deal with and what you can't deal with. But once you connect to them and once you have that relationship with them, then you can have them effectively work to give you a better experience with your spirit guides. And then your spirit guides, and any spirit, by the way, any spirit that comes at you, because they control access for any spirits. And then your spirit guides are those entities. They can be either angels, they can be archangels, they can be energies from another dimension, they can be energies from energies that have never taken physical form even, or have ever been on this plane or this planet or this dimension. They can also be, and often are, people who've crossed over. There are friends or relatives, and they may be relatives 2 and 3 ways back that you have never even met, but they are there. And I will give you an example in a minute, because I has actually had a visitation with a young man. And when he was talking about his spirit guide was his grandmother, his great-grandmother, and his great-grandmother had never met him, nor he had met her. And so it was interesting when I'm talking to him, and he had passed over because he came in to visit with his mom. And I'm talking to the mom, and the mom can't believe that the son would have a spirit guide of her grandmother, which is his great-grandmother. She could not believe that conversation could take place, or that relationship could take place, because he never met her, because she had passed before he came. And I was trying to explain that their timeline is not the same timeline as ours. Okay. Which is wonderful. So when you have your spirit guides, you may have spirit guides that are 2-3 generations back that you have never met, but because of your familiar relationship, or because you maybe have reincarnated with them in previous lives or in previous situations, or you yourself may have acted as a spirit guide when you were back on the other side, and before you came back to this side. So when you were over there, you may have acted as a spirit guide to them. And so you may be tangled with them. When we talk about soulmates, again, it's interesting. Soulmates are those energies who you have reincarnated with, usually over and over and over again. And it's interesting too, because when we talk about soulmates, hey, Miss Julie, hey, Michelle, nice to see you in. KK, nice to see you in as well. When we talk about those kind of things in soulmates and reincarnation, the reality is that when you're soulmates, and again, I think people overuse that very much. I really do. And I kind of cringe when somebody says that word, even to a degree, because I wonder what their knowledge base is, how they define soulmate. Okay. And what I'm talking about in soulmate and how I see soulmate is an entity or energy. And again, usually is a person who comes back. They come back and you and they are simpatico, and you come back over and over and over again with them. Now, the funny part again with soulmates is we think, oh my God, I've loved them in a lifetime before, and we were together as husband and wife, and husband and wife, husband and wife, or husband, 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 wife, wife, whatever you want to. However, the point is that no, that really isn't. That isn't the way that soulmates work. With soulmates, they can be in this lifetime with you as your significant other, or they can be a brother, a sister, a mother, a best friend, whatever. And in the next life, when you, and not the next one as in next in line, but when you reincarnate maybe 2, 3 down, they come back, but they may be back as some other relationship to you. They could also be the same relationship to you. My point is that a soulmate is there in your lifetimes repeatedly, and you connect, and they're part of your lifetime experience, and you know them, you've experienced them again in the past, but they're not necessarily, I won't say never, they're not necessarily in the same role. So you're not really going, I've never found one yet who has always been a spouse, 2 of them spouses every lifetime. That this never happened. I've never seen it happen. When I've met with spirits and I've talked to them and they talked about, hey, this person is my soulmate. And again, even when they tell me that, if a spirit tells me that, I have a much more comfortable feeling. But I ask the spirit to kind of define what it is they're explaining to me, because again, I cringe at that word soulmate only because it's so overused. Okay. And so where I'm going with this is that when you talk to your spirits and spirit guides, they are from a whole plethora of opportunities and things. So what I'm saying is that I have been blessed, thank goodness, with my mediumship abilities to connect to the other side from this side and have the conversations. And folks, believe me, it's beautiful over there. It is beautiful over there. There is not this pressure to be. There is not this pressure to achieve. There is not this pressure to have to prove yourself. There's no pressure on having to be something you are not. And most importantly, the love over there is genuine and real, and it flows in a very different way. Okay. First and foremost, because of the way we think, we put things in a physical form. Okay. And so we see a physical person, but over there is no physical. Okay. Over there, we're energy. And so when we see what they see, they're sending us a picture. They send us a picture so we can be relative. We can understand it because it's our relativity. But again, we shake off this coil. This is only the coil for this period of time. Once this is gone, their energy is gone. And I will give you an example, and it's from my book. Let me put the book out there. And I'm sorry about that. There's a thing here to help me keep this little dot from being on top of this thing. And so sorry about that. Anyway, that's what this is. So this is my book, The Ultimate Power Within, Unleashing the Magic of Affirmations. And in the book, I talk about this. Okay. We are energy. We are energy. Energy is not destroyed. It's not created. Never created, never destroyed. Now it changes form, whatever, but it does not change. It is not created, not destroyed. And so if you were to take an ohm meter or a voltmeter and you put it between your 2 fingers, you will see some play. You will see that energy exists while we are in this coil, right? And then as soon as we die, if they do the same thing, you put the 2 leads to your body, there is zero energy, zero activity, just dead like this. And of course you get that with the EKGs, when you see the same thing. The point is that it was energy. Energy created that. Energy created that movement. Energy created that. And then it stops. So again, we know energy doesn't destroy. It doesn't get created. It doesn't get destroyed. So it has to move. It has to move on. It transmutes, right? And that's my argument here. That's my point here, is that is our spirit. That is our soul. That is the essence. And so when that energy, when we get the flat line, we all going to get there. You know, there's one thing guaranteed. We all going to see that flat. We're not going to see it, but we're going to hit the flat line. Okay. Once we hit that flat line, I assure you, your energy, from what I have experienced from the wonderful souls on the other side who have shared with me their wonderful experiences, we then are energy and we head back. We head back to the energy dimension, okay? And we are there. And you can call that heaven. If that is in your paradigm, I say yes, absolutely. If that's what you, again, because we all can call it whatever, but is that next step for us? And so in religion, in Christianity and a lot of religions, they say going to heaven or going to wherever. That is where you're going, to that next place. True enough, true enough. And I do believe that. Again, I'm not picking arguments with that. What I'm picking argument with is the fact of reincarnation that used to be part of the Christian tenets of faith until 140 AD, when the religion said no. So with what we're going through now, and I've really gotten off a track, but I had to give some, and y'all know I'm an attorney. I can't help myself. I got to go deep into explaining, because I really wanted you to understand when you have this conversation with someone else, and I believe that you will, when you have a conversation with somebody else and you try to help them understand, again, how we can process and how we can move forward and how we can deal with stuff. I really wanted you to be able to understand have a deeper understanding. So therefore, when you make the conversation or argument and they come at you and say, well, what about this? And you can say, I can do your whataboutism. We can sit here all day. Did you all see this? Did you all see? There are spirits flying around here, and I'm not. You all saw it. I hope. I don't know, because I haven't seen that. I go back and I watch it, but this is at 24:42. So about 24:40, I saw this one, and about 30 seconds ago, there was something over here. Anyway, sorry, I get distracted, because when the energies are high, I'm talking about, again, that veil. And so when energies are high, you'll see some things flying around, and I'm hot as hell. So it's a male. There's a male spirit here, but I am getting distracted. So I'm going to put them on park. Okay. Anyway, so my key is this: know that this is a blip in history. We need to stay vigilant. We need to stay active. We need to make sure that we continue to ensure that our country, if you're in the US, is indeed church and state separation, because that's not a healthy situation. No matter what political spectrum you're on, it's just not healthy, because we fought 200 and almost 50 years ago to ensure that we would have this separation of church and state. But the good part is that no matter what you believe, because our church and state are separated, you can have the openness to understand and think about what happens if. And so, again, I'm peering in, and as I peer in, folks, over there is amazing. Again, no judgment. You don't have to, you're not competing. It's like every energy is energy. Energy is energy. And those energies and those sources of energy over there come over to us, and they serve as our spirit guides. And so, again, if they are from a different dimension that has never even been on this universe, that doesn't mean they're not here. The division is not of God. Absolutely. In my opinion, I agree. I'm 100% Queen. So sorry, I was distracted because that caught my attention. But when they come over, they give willingly to help you. So as you work through your life, as you're trudging through your life, and while you're celebrating the good and while you're navigating the rough, okay, make sure that you open your mind to the fact that you are not alone, that you are embraced by a team of spirits who have lived over and over again, some of them who may have lived with you over and over again. And you, being of this world, are not able to remember initially that you were part there and that you've lived over and over again. And so they help you to remember this, okay? And I absolutely implore you to know that you will get through anything here, because anything you go through here is going to be infinitesimal in what's going to be the long-term road for you and your spirit. Okay. Now, with that said, I would love to remind everyone right now, not remind, I'll let you guys know, this world is freaking chaotic, and we all know that. And the astrologers have talked about how we have the planets aligning, which is once in a lifetime, once in many lifetimes, because again, this is something that's going to happen not only for another, what, 250, 300 years. I mean, and it hasn't happened for 250, 300 years. With all of these things that are happening, with all of these crazy, chaotic things that are happening, and with all of these alignments, the veil, the veil is what I call, what most metaphysical people call, a veil separates this world from the other world, the energy world, the God, the spirit, the heaven, whatever you want to call it. The separation is by a veil, okay? And that's why we call it the veil. And so in this kind of energy, because we are all, if you haven't felt it, then take a few minutes and try to connect, and you'll see the energy is high. Right now, we're all kind of working on high energy. Well, that means our vibrations are high. And when your vibrations are high and you're working at a high vibrational energy, the spirits already live in a high vibration. So we as a world right now are living in a higher vibration than we have done so before. Okay. So again, our higher vibration level, we are pinging. We are, and as we ping higher, then we are closer now to their level of energy, and which means we are now more able to talk to them, because again, we're tapping across that veil, because again, we are so close to their energy level. And to talk to spirits, the energy level has to be high. High vibrational level is what, when you sync with your high vibrational level, that's what brings you into that connection. So right now is the best time in the world. Even if you felt like, oh, I can never talk to the other side, I don't know how. Oh, I just can't talk to my spirit guides. I can't do this. I can't connect to the person. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister passed over. I can't communicate with them. Now is the perfect time. I mean, the timing could not be better than now to have that conversation with the other side. This is that moment in time. This may be the only moment that you have an opportunity. And I'm not saying moment as in minute. I'm saying moment as in period of time, brief period of time, because of all that we're going through, and because the world is just right there at that high vibrational level. We are so close. So we can talk, and we may get responses. We may get responses. Now, how do you do it? Quite simply this. You quiet your mind the best you can, and you just speak to them like you're speaking to me, or like I would speak to you. And I'll give you an example. I'm like, if I need to, I'm like, hey, Dad, my father crossed over. So I'm like, hey, Dad, if you have a few minutes, I would like to speak to you about something, or I need some clarity on something, And I would say, Dad, can you help me with this? And in a day or two, if not sooner, I'm not surprised if my dad comes in and has a conversation with me. Often what happens is that he'll come through at night. And when I have that conversation, when I say, Dad, can you come through? My spirit, but my gatekeeper, who is again Emily will allow him to come through at night, even though she knows no spirits in my room at all at night. She will allow him to come in and have the conversation with me, because I've asked him in, I've called him in, so she knows that he's allowed to come through. Okay. And I will give you an example which really helped me too. In 2022, my dad came to me on a Monday night. And again, he has carte blanche. Emily knows if he comes through, there's no stopping him. He can come through anytime he wants, because he's my dad. And he's never been anything more than a positive, warm, wonderful light on the other side, and has helped me continuously. So my dad came through on a Monday and a Thursday. I'm almost certain it was a Monday and Thursday, and 2 different days in 1 week. And he told me, sell my business. And so Friday morning, I was getting ready to visit my mom the following week. And on that Friday morning, my mom called me and she says, hey, Donnie, how are you? I'm like, fine, we're talking. And she goes, I wanted to tell you something. And she said, I know of all the kids, you're the one who's not going to think I'm crazy. And she said, but your dad came to me. And she always says your dad. It's funny because she doesn't say my husband or whatever. She's like, your dad. I love that, because it's like, I love knowing, she always can, it's your dad. I love that. Right. Anyway, and there's something about that. I just don't know. It's like, like, not my husband or not whatever. It's your dad. And so, your dad came to me, and she came, and I said, "Dad, what?" And she said, "He came to me on Monday, and then he came to me last night, and he told me sell my house." Now, my mom he had passed on about 4 years, 3, 4 years before this. And my mom had been keeping the house, but it had been a little, it got dicey because of things, the deferred maintenance and other things, and a single woman in a very hostile, environment, because where she lives, the winters are harsh, and it takes a beating on the houses. And so anyway, so when she said that, she said, "I know you're not crazy." And I said, "Mom, of course I'm not crazy, because I heard the same thing." And my dad came to us both on the same days, both same evenings. We both got visited with my dad, and he told her to sell. He told me to sell, and we did sell. And I will tell you, we listened because he came through and we were open. He did an amazing thing for us, because we both got contracts. I got 3 contracts on my business. My mom got a contract on her house instantaneously. I mean, within a week, it was already undersealed, and it was full price, cash offer, no inspections, the golden ticket of real estate. And she had a rural property of 5 acres with a septic and a well and all. They did not. They waived everything, inspection, everything waived. We get to closing Friday. We were supposed to both close on the same day, which is crazy, right? We were supposed to close on Fridays. On Wednesday before Friday, the Fed increased the rates first. And you can look at the history. Go back, March 2022. What I'm telling you is history. It's documented. The Feds increased the interest rates for the first time. And from that point on, those rates went up. And as those rates went up, the value of housing stabilized, or some of it went down. Because guess what? People couldn't get the notes they were before, and things weren't selling like they were before. And so we both cashed out. My mom got about double what she thought she would get for that house. I got out a hell of a lot of money on our business, and it was a wonderful thing to be getting out of it at that time. And if we had not, the chances are we may not have gotten out, or have gotten out at where we did. So, and I think the statistics prove that out, and so the good part is that we cashed out, moved on, and it was because of that spirit veil and us listening to my dad, and him coming over, and us being prepared. And see, my mom is very open to him coming over. She always, when she's not feeling well, she says, "Robert, I need your help." And that's my dad's name. And he'll come over, and he soothes her. He gives her that peace. And so thank goodness my mom has always been open to the veil, always been open to having that energy, never having a problem with reaching out over there. And my dad has come through for her and brings her peace and tranquility. So we have a conversation about him often. My dad will come through and visit me often. This is the conversation you can have. I'm not special. My mom's not special. Well, I am special because I'm me, but I'm just kidding. What I'm saying is we all have this amazing ability if we just open ourselves to it. And right now, in this time in history, the veil is so thin, and we are so close because our energies are so here that, and again, remember, their energies are high already. That's that, but you have to raise yours. And the world's energy right now is like this. So you can reach out now and talk to your loved ones over there. You can talk to your spirit guides. Quiet your mind, find a peaceful place. One of the things, these are a few different options I will give you as ways in which you can do this yourself, okay? And if you were watching last night, by the way, if you were watching last night, Angie and I went live. And during our live, a father came in, and amazingly enough, the father, I mean, he came in, and I didn't know who he was here for. He told me his name, and he says he's here, and he gave me a criteria. And sure enough, it wasn't one, but two women in the on the chat. 2 women were there for the first time, and they were sisters. These 2 sisters who never came in before, ever come in before. They came in last night to the chat. They didn't know why they were drawn to the chat, but they were. And while they were in the chat, the father came in. And so it was amazing. And it was a bit confusing because I'm trying to think, he's talking to both of them, and he's talking about this one and then talking about this one. And we're trying to track it and so forth. But we're having this wonderful conversation with a father who had left. I think if I remember right, he showed me a 2002. So he died in 2002, right? But he needed to talk to them, and he directed them to come to this chat. On that night, they had never come to the chat. They were new. They even told us, they're like, I said, we don't recognize you. You guys are new. And yeah, you're new. And yet on that night, he came through because he brought them here and they heard him. They couldn't hear him clearly tell them what they needed to hear. So he said, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to nudge you guys to come on, get in that chat. And then he himself showed up so where he could communicate with them. And he was telling us all kinds of information. So again, folks, they're finding ways to reach out to you. The veil is thin, reach out in return. So what I would suggest, if first thing, and is if you'd like to talk to your spirit guides or your loved ones, I prepared a guided meditation. And the guided meditation allows you to go through, you follow through the meditation. Let me change this to classic. And so here, get down here 1 second, sorry. So it's out of the way here. This meditation, and it's free. It's out there on YouTube. You just look up it under Sonora Mystic Tarot, and then you just go look for this meditation. It's out there. It's 30 minutes long, and it walks you through the process of centering yourself, getting your chakras lined up, and getting ready to communicate with your spirit guides. And when you, and so it may take 2 or 3 times for you to do this meditation, but once you get the visualizations down, and once you are no longer, and some people are just so tired they need rest, and the meditation allows the rest, But anyway, so this meditation will allow you to speak to your spirit guides. And I also did a meditation, as I'm stalling here. This one is for your loved ones who crossed over. So you can use the same meditation to have a conversation with someone who's crossed over if you can't have the conversation like I can connect. And not all of us can at our levels, but we can get our level there. Because once you do this meditation a few times, after you've done the meditation a number of times, you won't have to do the meditation anymore, because you can visualize and put yourself, because you'll recognize and you'll know, you remember again, your muscle memory will take you back to that space, that safe space, that space that you create. And then you'll go back to it quickly, and you don't have to go through the whole process anymore. And you'll be able to speak to those who crossed over and to speak to your spirit guides. And this is wonderful. And so I would suggest anybody who's interested, do these meditations. They are super important, and they will help you, especially at this time. Now, if you don't have time for meditation, or this doesn't work for you, another option I would strongly suggest is to get a thin tapered candle. Okay. The reason why I say thin and tapered, because the candle should not be of interest or any visual impact at all. It's just there. Okay. Because you're not paying attention to the candle. So you light the candle, you create a dark space, a quiet space where you're not bothered, and you give yourself 5 minutes. So this is a 5-minute per day for at least 7 days exercise. And the first 2 days are going to be extremely difficult. I will give you that. And I'll explain why that is in a minute, but I'm giving you the heads up. You're going to sit there in a quiet space. You're going to set your alarm clock or your phone or whatever to 5, and then put it down and make sure it doesn't do anything except for buzz when 5 minutes is up. So again, silence, no vibration, nothing. And then you're going to stare at that candle, and you're going to stare at that flame. And it's going to flicker a little bit if there's a little breeze in the room or whatever. And you are going to stare solely at that flame for 5 minutes. I promise you, after the 30 seconds, you're going to say, guys, have 5 minutes yet? Oh man, I wonder did I turn that off? What can I do next? You need to keep your focus on the candle's flame and block out all of those noises. Block out all those conversations, all those things where your mind is now doing, and you're going to realize, it's amazing how once you do this exercise and you start doing this exercise, you're going to be amazed at how much you multitask. You may think you don't multitask. I'm telling you, this exercise will show you do, because your mind is thinking, I'm doing this, but I can do this. And what about this? And what about this? What about this? And you have to shut them all down. You got to say, nope, back to the flame, back to the flame. Nope, back to the flame. How about this? Nope, back to the flame. It is so hard. It is so hard for the first 2 to 3 times. It is extremely difficult. And as you do it further and further into the week, it gets easier, because now you're realizing, wait a minute, I am now controlling my mind. You see, your mind is controlling you. Your mind is running even when you tell yourself, oh, I don't want it to run. Oh, you have no choice. You have no choice. It is running, and you have to catch up and keep up. Okay. But I'm telling you, it's fascinating how once you do this a few days in, you'll start getting total control. You're getting control. And then by the fifth or sixth day, you have control. So by the seventh day, you should be able to at least go 5 minutes without that. And do not be surprised if, because you have learned, so you're, when this is by the seventh day, eighth day, and again, you go into the second week with this, you're not even actively trying to focus on the flame anymore. Because when you are there and that flame is moving, your mind's not wandering. You're just saying, hey, I'm at peace. I'm at peace. I am good. I'm good. And then again, as that thing moves a little bit, you now in the flame, do not be surprised if a face appears. And yeah, if you need to put on Pampers so you don't poop yourself, maybe that's a good thing. Because it will shock you. It will shock you. Okay. And so as you start doing that, you may see a face in the flame. You may see behind the flame some activity. You may see a person. You may see some sparkling. You may see orbs flying around. You may see, you may hear. You, instead of seeing, you may all of a sudden hear someone talk to you. And it may be your father or your mother or your brother or sister on the other side. And you're like, I recognize that voice. And then listen, because if you may sense a smell, you may sense a smell. Okay. If your eyes don't see it, if your ears don't hear it, you may sense a smell. And you're like, wow, I smell, oh my God, that's my mom's apple pie. You know, that's my dad's greasy hands when he used that hand soap to clean his hands because he was a mechanic. You know, it's that's my, it's any of those sensations, right? Or you get a taste, a flavor. Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm tasting my grandmother's square cookies, her molasses cookies. Man, that's interesting. It's not interesting. They're there. They're talking to you. They are responding to you and communicating in a way in which you are receiving. So they may have tried this and it didn't work. They may have tried this and it didn't work. They may have tried this, but under here in this taste, all of a sudden you can taste it. So they're there and they're saying, hey, I'm here. Don't be surprised if in the same time, and this will freak you out because you will jump when this happens, you feel a hand on your shoulder, or you feel like something like this. Like if I have an aunt, a wonderful, lovely aunt. And when she passed away, the wonderful thing that she would do for me is when I would go visit her, and y'all, if you've been around a while, you know who I'm talking about. I would sit down beside her and she'd be in this chair. This was her chair. And she'd sit there in the chair and she's like, oh, my Donnie. And I would sit down beside her on the floor and she would reach over and she would play with my beard. Now she's the only one, except for my better half, who, and my kids can get away with it too, but they don't do it. But anyway, but she's the only one who could play with my beard. And she did. She would play with my beard. And I loved that of her. So when she comes in, I will not be surprised if at one point she's playing with my beard, and that lets me know. And it's interesting because that has happened once already. I was sitting there and I was doing something, and I got the message that her sister had passed. This was 2 months later, and all of a sudden I got this, and I'm like, God, well, oh, it was interesting. I'm like, oh, so my aunt was telling me it's okay. She's with her. And that was cool. So don't be surprised if you get a feeling, a touch or something, the way that someone used to touch you and give you that feeling of comfort. Don't be surprised if it happens. This is the time, if ever you wanted to reach out to your spirit guides, to the person on the other side, this is the time to do it. And I'm giving you the keys to the castle because I've given you the 5-minute per day exercise. When you do the exercise, by the way, do it the same time every day. It's like making an appointment with your spirit guides and saying, hey, I want you all to come in. So I'm going to do this every day at this hour so you guys can schedule me in. And again, if you want to do the loved ones, this is that meditation for the loved ones, to go up there and visit with the loved ones, and or do the exercise I talked about. There are many other ways to do it. But no matter what, do me this favor, no matter what, when you communicate with the folks on the other side, have a conversation like I'm talking to you. Don't think of it only. It doesn't work that way. I know this is how Hollywood has us thinking all these wonderful things. And there are people who may work that way. But I'm telling you, the spirits, speak to them. Speak to them like I'm speaking to you. Talk to them. And you will, I promise you, you will feel uncomfortable the first few times. You're thinking, people are going to think I'm crazy. I lost my mind. I'm talking to nobody. I'm talking to the air. You're not talking to the air. You're talking to something you can't see. But when you talk to God, when you talk to your deity, when you talk to your anxiety, when you say, I'm just mad, and you say it out loud, it's the same thing. You're speaking it. So speak to your spirit guides. Speak to your past loved ones. Speak to those folks who are there supporting you, just like you're speaking to me. And also thank them. Thank them for being there. Thankfulness is wonderful. Thank them for being there. Thank them for having giving you the opportunity to know that they're there. Thank them for helping you, that kind of stuff. And then with the thankfulness and the mindfulness, don't be surprised if you again get the responses and assurances. Okay, ask them for help. Ask them for help if you need help. If you are having problems with a legal question, then ask your spirit guides to go out and bring you an attorney who can answer the legal question. Ask them to go out and help you to find that attorney. Help them help you find the advice. And don't be surprised if while you are asleep, you have dreams from an attorney who comes in and gives you the information you need. Or don't be surprised that when you wake up, the spirit guides have lined you up with something. You open your phone up and all of a sudden there's an email or there's something about an attorney, and this attorney is great for this. And you're like, holy crap, that's what I asked for. Again, they do respond, and they don't always respond in the ways we would hope, but they do respond and they try to help you if it's in your best interest. And they even nudge you when it's not. They tell you, hey, you gotta, maybe not that way, maybe not that way. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't listen. And that happens often. And sometimes when they're nudging us and saying, this is not good for you, we don't listen. And so we do it anyway. And then we push forward and like, hey, I'm giving you a warning. And so they send you a stronger warning because they maybe put a roadblock. And you're like, I'll just overcome that roadblock because I'm going to do what I want to do. Free will works, not a problem. But don't worry. Don't be surprised because you get, again, if you go too far and it's not in your best interest, Spirit will let you know. And I'm going to let Valerie Bertinelli share this with you because she says it in a way that I absolutely adore.
So when I started on this healing journey, about 2 years ago, my life was like really unmanageable and I got shut. You know how the universe or God kind of like taps you on the shoulder, you don't listen, kind of gives you a little push, you don't listen, shoves you to your knees, you still don't listen. I got shoved on my ass.
There you go. She said it better than I could. I give her absolute credibility for that. And because that is true. Okay. So again, I'm asking you, if you have ever wanted to communicate, first of all, more importantly, know that we're a blip here. So don't let the anxiety get to you. Don't become so overwhelmed that you feel you can't navigate, because again, this is only a blip. Once you're out of this energy, once you're out of this environment and your spirit has moved on, your energy over there is going to live on consistently. And it is a wonderful space. And know that there's nothing to be afraid of over there. So there's no reason to be afraid of making that transition. And there's no reason except our personal selfish, which is not a bad thing, our selfish reasons for missing the loved ones who cross over. But know that they are in a great place. They have moved on. And you can, the religious folks, come on, let me have it. Hit me with the hell versus heaven shit. I'm telling you, I did not see that. I do not see that. And we can have a long conversation, but you're not going to hell. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm sorry with professional religions who want to make sure that you get those coffers filled, paying for your way to heaven. You're not paying for your way to heaven. You're paying for them to have their, 15,000 square foot mansions and their Lamborghinis and their planes like Heggie has or like Osteen has. Okay. Again, I'm attacking organized religion, not religion itself. So again, know that you're going to a great place, no matter what. You're going over there, and you're not going to hell. So don't be afraid of the hell, because it just that paradigm doesn't exist with what I have seen. You have your own paradigms and you have your own experiences, so you go with what you're comfortable with. But I'm telling you, from what I've seen, no. It doesn't make sense. Energy doesn't work that way. Okay, so have this opportunity. You have an amazing opportunity. We've never seen the universe like this in a long, long time. In my lifetime, I'm not sure I've ever seen this. And so again, that veil is very, very close. Take advantage, reach out, talk to your loved ones, connect with your loved ones. And then once you do, please come back and share with me if you've had that experience. Share with me what you've experienced. Share with me that, hey, I did connect and I got this or I got this. Okay. And again, please, folks, don't expect Hollywood. Okay. This is real. This is real life. This is not Hollywood. And I don't blame Hollywood, because they try to sell, they have to sell a product, and so they do it sensational. But don't expect the calling your let's say your parent, your mom crossover, and you're like, oh mom, can you come in? Boof, there she is. And she's like a commercial, boof, all of a sudden she's there, like Endora from Bewitched, and she's like, my dear, how can I help you? And you're like, that's not my mom. That's not even the way she talks. What the hell is this? It's like, what? No, I'm serious. Don't be asking for Hollywood, but instead listen to your many senses and allow your many senses, whichever one is connecting most with you, to communicate to you, and pay attention to the little things as well as the big, because often we look for the big flash, and instead we're here and there's a little bit of a tweak here, or there's a little bit of a whatever here. And again, it's that touch, it's that taste, it's that vision, it's that hearing. You're say you're in the car and you're frustrated, and you're like, gosh darn it, I feel so alone right now. I just wish somebody would understand. And all of a sudden, the song Easy Loving from Freddie Hart comes on the radio. There is only one reason in my life why that song comes on the radio, because it is so old and it doesn't play on the radio anymore. And yet it has happened twice. And at both times, it's my dad, because he sung that for my mom. So anytime I'm thinking about my dad and my mom, or something about my mom, my dad will come through and he's like, she's good, or I've got this. And so he'll play that song. Only twice have I ever called out like that. And on both occasions, because I was worried about my mom, and I'm like, I need to know what's going on here. And on the two occasions I've done it, both times Easy Loving came on the radio. And it's like, wait a minute, that song just never plays. It's not in rotation. Freddie Hart, who knows him, right? Believe it. It happens. So be open to the way in which they communicate. Okay. Also wanted to tell you some good news before we get doing the readings. Again, I just clicked in my head. I was blessed to be interviewed by a podcaster yesterday, and about the book, which is right here, The Ultimate Power Within, Unleashing Magic Affirmations. It will be the podcaster's interview will come out next month, March. And as you guys know, that's the first year anniversary of the publication of the book. And so I put that back there. This is available on Amazon. And the cool part about the book is that, again, 1 year anniversary. But remember, on the first day it was released on Amazon, it was ranked the #1 new release on Amazon. A national or international company had my book as the #1 for one day. As the #1 new release, which blew me away, because I am an independent publisher. I published this on my own. I didn't go through these big publishing companies, and those big publishing companies, they can run the numbers to get you as #1. I didn't have that freedom, or that luxury, I guess you would call it. But I still wound up there. And it was you guys. You all made that possible, because you all jumped online and you bought that book from me. And I truly, truly appreciate it. So I'm going on the 1 year anniversary. And so it's interesting how the podcaster reached out to me and said, hey, I want to do an interview about you. What would you like to talk about? I like to talk about metaphysical, and I heard about your book and whatever. And so we did the interview yesterday. She's going to get it cleaned up and whatever. And then she has me on the rotation in March. And I told her, you won't believe it, but that makes good sense, because I've been talking about how can I get prepared for the 1 year anniversary. And she kind of opened that door for me. See, Spirit listened. Spirit opened the door for me, because I said, Spirit, how can I do this? How can I figure out a way to, talk about it and get it back out there to get attention to it for the 1 year anniversary? And they delivered. So again, I listened, and they listened, and they came through. I love it. So with that said, let's get back. I'm going to pop up the meditation thing one more time. And there are 3 meditations, by the way, that are online. They're all 3 guided meditations. One is for your gatekeeper specifically, if you want to meet your gatekeeper. The other one, of course, is for your spirit guides. And then this one is for the loved ones. So if you want to reach out to your loved ones, to communicate with them, again, this is the time to do it. Thank you so much for popping in. I truly appreciate it. Love, light, and blessings from me here at Enormously Tarot to you and yours. And if you haven't seen the book or haven't had a chance to check it out, please check it out on Amazon. And if you like what you see, please do not hesitate. And I'm kind of stalling here because I'm trying to get through, but this thing wasn't working right. Anyway, if you like what you see, buy it. I would appreciate it. All right. And with that said, I'm going to let you go. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing weekend. And during the weekend, while you are walking down your path, while you're running down your path, while you're moving down your path, let no one steal your thunder or your joy. Own your own power. And if they do, this is what you need to tell them.
Look at my face. Don't do it. No.
I love it. I love it. Love, light, and blessings from me. Here's an Mystic Tarot to you and yours.